From the heart of Central Florida, you are listening to the most electrifying show in media, A Neighbor's Choice. And I'm your host, your neighbor, David Gornoski. Glad to be back with you again for our 5 o'clock hour. We're live, drive time, prime time, and we're here across Tampa Bay and Central Florida and around the world. We're having a growing audience in Africa, a growing audience in Asia, and we love to hear from you. We have letters and messages from India and Ethiopia, so we're glad to always get these unique and diverse voices contributing their perspectives in our community. Don't forget to go to aneighborschoice.com to keep up with all the interviews you miss and content-exclusive articles. aneighborschoice.com. And joining me now is a friend of the show. He's been on a few times, and he returns now. He's an investment legend, someone who is lauded by many billionaires and influencers, even people picked for short list for the FDA commissioners and so forth. We have the author of The Sovereign Individual, James Dale Davidson. How you doing, James?
Okay.
Great to have you back on.
Feel underpaid every time I talk to you.
Well, I want to pick up where we left off last time we had you on the radio program, which was the last time I talked to you. You were saying that the best, the biggest employer in America back in the glory days of economic prosperity, you had General Motors was the biggest employer for Americans, and now it's Walmart. So we went from making stuff, manufacturing stuff, creating real things, and then now with Walmart, it's more of a service economy that we're in, right?
Well, it's more than that. I think one thing I'd like to point out, David, is that in the old days, before the Great Depression, the principal measure of economic prosperity in the country was the industrial production number. And then in the Great Depression, they introduced the GDP, or GNP, as they first did it. And this is a number that has been subject to manifest an incredible manipulation. They've changed it. They've added hedonic figures, all sorts of things to create the illusion of greater strength than actually exists. And we've seen the evidence of this because sometime around the 1970s, the average income of the average person came to a point of stagnation. And almost all the gains that have been accrued in income have come to people in the higher distributions. This is why we have the inequality rush and the great concern of people to become socialists, because they can't read as far as the newspapers from Venezuela to see what it's really like. And I think we're in a period where the basic fundamental growth of the economy has stalled out for reasons that were forecast more than a century and a half ago by some great economists. And I think we need to be alert and aware of this, because if you don't understand it, you're going to be hit by it. And I've been, I was telling people that the coronavirus was going to be a black swan pandemic. At the time, the market was reaching an all-time high, and it was true. And then I have thought that we're going to go back and retest the lows, which many people have not thought, but the market action in the last couple of weeks makes that seem a little more credible to people who only believe what's in front of them on the screen.
So what do you think is there's the individual thing that folks can do, which would be maybe stay out of debt, live within your means, don't get involved with a lot of debt and consumer debt, maybe own some precious metals if you can. That's something individuals can do. But on a mass scale, what's the thing that's going to be needed to get a wealth of prosperity back into America? Is it going to be something like an energy revolution if we could ever solve something big like nuclear fusion for everyone?
An energy revolution would give a great boost to this. But, I caution about energy revolutions because they've been underway since World War II. One of the things that is little understood in this country is that when World War II ended, Argentina was second to the United States in its pile of gold. And they brought on a dictator who believed in an energy revolution, who was Juan Perón. And he hired a bunch of German scientists who were going to create a fusion energy revolution in Argentina. And they squandered most of the gold reserves of Argentina on this attempt to get the energy revolution underway. It never got off the ground because they didn't have the right technology, and we still don't. It's always something that's 5 or 10 years off in the horizon. And I think I would not hold my breath until it comes because you're liable to gag on it.
Right.
My expectation is that someday there will be an energy revolution, but it's not on the horizon for immediate succor for our issues now.
Right.
I think we've got to become more competent as a country. I've noticed something that I've discussed with you offline, which was that I think we're becoming an etch-a-sketch economy, where you know how the etch-a-sketch works. You draw something on a piece of paper with a film over a dark background, and then when you finish drawing it, you pull up the film and you start over again.
Right.
And I think that that's what's happening. We've changed from a real economy where you go into your neighborhood store and spend money, where you know the proprietors and the people who work there, to one where everything is online, or many things are online, and they have an incredible and multiplying collection of security checks that you have to go through.
Mm-hmm.
And every security check is predicated on another security check. So if you sign into something, you have to sign into something else. Yesterday, I went into an Office Depot, and I can understand why the price of Office Depot stock has plunged to $2, because I was standing there in a queue waiting to do business with a pleasant young woman at the cashier's stand. And she said, "I'm sorry, you can't actually come in here and do business with us. You have to send us a text message to ask if we can give you an appointment." I said, "But I'm right here." No, you're not. You have to text us. So I'm standing there and I have to text them, and an additional step. And this is just an incredible loss of productivity, because my time and her time were wasted while I was texting her for no reason. And this is exactly what's going on around the country. Some of it is very good for Amazon or Facebook or some of the other big tech names, but it's not good for the country overall, and it's not good for you. You waste so much time. I had an issue. I was trying to convey some money for part of an investment I was doing overseas, and I couldn't do it because PayPal kept rejecting my payment.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to go to the Bank of America fraud department and escalate it through to the top to get PayPal to accept payment for an investment I wanted to make, and I couldn't get it done. I mean, eventually I had to cancel the payment because they wouldn't let the party on the other side accept the money.
Wow.
Why? I don't know, but I once upon a time, not that long ago, I started a company with a partner of mine for a total investment of $800,000. We did it in a day. We opened the company and we got it launched. And in October of 2011, that company was worth $3.5 billion.
Mm.
So that was real value that we created in a day. Trying to do that today would take a year, because they've added so many layers of stupidity and security checks. And one of the things that happened is that in that company that I mentioned, we got a local billionaire involved in it. and he had a holding company for his family, and he included all of his remote relatives as shareholders of this company. But in order for him to invest in a new company that we were trying to create, he had to get all these people passports, and he had to declare their net worth, because they had, even though they had only a small fraction of his holding company, the company was worth so much money that they reached over some threshold of disclosure, and they had to be vetted, and it took a year to get the company established. And by the time it was established, the moment had passed. We couldn't fund it any longer.
Wow.
The first company we got funded in days because we could start it in a day. Now you can't do that. It's part of this whole craziness. It started, I remember, some years ago when I was a younger man. I remember somebody injected some poison into some Tylenol capsules. And that was an evil trick that has had a tremendously damaging effect on the economy. Today, if you want to open a bottle, you have to have a blowtorch practically to get the heavy-duty plastic off the cap and twist it.
So why is everything so difficult to do anymore? Is it just government regulation, or just lawsuits, or all these safety things people put in because of tort?
Well, part of it is government regulation. Part of it is risk avoidance, because if they have a choice between making you waste 20 minutes opening a bottle and being sued for billions of dollars, they'd rather make you waste your 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. And all that 20 minutes of waste is subtracted from productive time in the economy. Mm-hmm. You can't have a productive economy. People are spending all their time just spinning their wheels. It's grit in the gears, is basically what it is. Friction. And, there was a great analysis that was done some years ago in Peru. I started a company in Peru in maybe a quarter of a century ago, almost 30 years ago. And I made some millions out of it. But in the process of being there in Peru, I discovered things that had been well known by Peruvians, which is that their economy didn't work very well. And one of the reasons was that they had a revolutionary group called the Shining Path that were trying to destroy everything that existed, including firing missiles at incoming civilian airplanes coming into the airport at Lima.
Wow.
Now that was not encouraging to me as I came in, but I was glad that the plane landed safely and I wasn't killed. But, we've got all sorts of unrest in this country now that's under the heading of social justice, where we think that somehow if people are complaining enough that they need to be exempt from things like the normal civil decencies. We even have the strange situation in Minneapolis that the city council are abolishing the police department. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not sure I'd like to move to Minneapolis under those conditions.
Yeah.
Would you?
No, I don't know what they have planned. I think they're going to have struggle sessions where you have to get pulled over for microaggressions now. If they catch you with, Rice Krispie treats or Aunt Jemima syrup, you probably get cited as a microaggression. But
well, yes. I mean, they had these struggle sessions in Mao's China,
yeah,
and they did so much good. The Cultural Revolution, as they called it. People stopped going to school. It set back China for many years, but they came out of it because they were so severely hindered by it that it woke them up. And I think people will wake up in this country eventually. But
so we got to wake up from being woke. That's the irony, huh?
Yeah, the reset is going to take a while.
Right.
In my view. I don't think it's going to happen immediately.
But there's always opportunities for profit and success, even in weird times like what we're in now, where people don't even have any cohesion together. There's no unity. There's no trust in government. But we're going to have to let you go because I know you've got to get to another appointment. But we're going to have you on again sometime for a deeper dive. But in the meantime, I want to tell you thank you for joining us. And I want people to visit your website, strategicinvestment.com, where you can join James Dale Davidson's newsletter. That's strategicinvestment.com. Thanks again, James, for joining us.
Well, thank you, David, and all the best to everyone listening.
Very good. We'll talk soon. We'll continue live on A Neighbor's Choice. More in just a moment. Don't go anywhere.
A lawsuit is not something that anyone looks forward to. It can be devastating. There is a law firm in Tampa Bay that will keep you informed throughout the entire process. That law firm is Catania & Catania. Personal injury law is defended with full disclosure. There is no guessing game. If it's an auto accident, medical malpractice, nursing home negligence, unsafe working conditions, or motorcycle accidents, the law firm of Catania & Catania will handle the process worry-free from start to finish. Many victims do not even realize that they can claim compensation for their loss until they talk to Catania & Catania. They only represent private individuals and treat every case as if it's going to trial. Putting families first is more than just a slogan. It's their way of practicing law. Remember, they don't get paid if you don't get paid. So go to CataniaCatania.com, award-winning over 28 years and family first. Catania & Catania, personal injury, auto accident, and motorcycle accident attorneys.
And now, Easy Lift Movers is on the air, reminding all Americans to show support to the brave men and women of our U.S. military. Their bravery and tireless efforts should never go unnoticed. This salute is brought to you by Easy Lift Movers, serving the community with quality and pride. Call the pros today, 813-505-8474. That's 813-505-8474. Also, all troops and veterans will receive a 10% discount. That's Easy Lift Movers, proudly saluting our troops and veterans. They are professionals who care.
Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Lang, board-certified optometric physician and certified nutritional specialist, host of popular talk show Ask the Doctor. I've researched and developed an amazing new omega-3 product that you'll see incredible results with. It's called Fortify Super Omega-3 Max. I had one of the top Norwegian omega-3 research teams in conjunction with myself and Fortify Vitamins aid in the development of this advanced omega-3. This product is the most potent and purest triglyceride form omega-3 in the United States today. Omega-3 is great for all aspects of your health and well-being, especially in this unprecedented, challenging time. I am giving a 25% discount with promo code RADIO during this viral pandemic. Go to my website, fortify.com. That's FORTIFEYE. Remember the EYE in Fortify. That's fortify.com. Enter the promo code RADIO to receive the 25% discount.
Thanks for listening to 1040 WHBO. We've seen unprecedented growth in listening over the last several months. Our ad partners are experiencing great success, and we thank you for supporting the many advertisers on this station. If you own a business or handle the marketing for a business, contact us. We'll get your message across the many media platforms we own. Call 813-250-3883. That's 813-250-3883. Or send us a note. Web at radiogenesis.com. That's web at radiogenesis.com.
Our Neighbor's Choice returns. We just spoke with James Dale Davidson, who's a private investor, economic forecaster, who's predicted many things right over the years, way ahead of the time. We had him on just for a brief segment, but I want to shift now back to what I see the media narrative groupthink going back towards, which is, they've pushed this, racial tension narrative for a long time. They've stirred up all this corporate posturing that I think is really toothless in actually doing anything to dismantle actual real injustice, which is mostly bad laws. As we know on this program, we don't like no-knock raids. We don't like, these licensure laws. These are acts of coercion that destroy and mutate our markets and destroy and prevent us from having economic prosperity and growing the pie for everyone. We don't like having these over trumped up qualified immunity where folks are able to have license to do things that they really shouldn't be doing, especially in the prosecution of victimless crimes, which are the bulk of our police actions today, focusing on victimless crimes. Police need to return, and it's not them to decide, it's voters to decide. Police need to be able to be freed to solve real crimes, crimes against property, crimes against, assault and violence and things that are bad. We need to solve violent crime, not chase after endless crimes of nonviolence and crimes of vice. Those need to be reformed. So we've been pushing against the false narrative that the media has been stoking, that the answer is to have a kind of a struggle session economy where everything's fake, everything is virtue signaling, and there is no real justice reform at the actual skin in the game level. But now we see that they've played that hand out a lot, and they want to switch back to another distorted narrative, which is the coronavirus. You see headlines, Drudge Report. Don't know if he, what happened to him. I don't really agree with, left or right on a lot of things. I kind of think for myself, but it's clear that Drudge has gone in against Trump. He's got headlines: virus cases hit all-time high, new peak in Florida, relocks in Texas, Trump ignores, EU bans Americans, just negative. You got another headline: Biden says he would use federal power to require masks. And I think to myself, what happened to this country where we have 99% of media constantly carrying water for one party, and there's no desire to turn off the programs? They've been doing this for some time, but they were better at hiding their obvious PR role for half of the political, tribes in America. But now they're just out and open about it. And I can't believe that anybody would take this kind of media narrative seriously. They don't have to be for Trump to know that the media is rigged and that it has a deliberate, incestuous relationship with the interests of the neoliberal Democratic Party and Joe Biden, because power above all else is what's important for these folks. And staying on message to get that power is what they're focused on, not telling the truth. But we are, and we'll continue to tell the truth on A Neighbor's Choice. Back in a moment.
There is all kinds of lunacy going on. The madness of 2020.
Weekdays 11 to 2.
I'm just so fed up with these Democrats. It's unbelievable.
Get it straight from Chris Plant.
They're so hypocritical. It makes me sick.
It's the Chris Plant Show.
This has just got me going off.
And the left is waging war against the police in the United States.
Telling it like it is.
You should be thanked profusely for getting to the point. You're a voice of reason in the sea of idiots.
The Chris Plant Show. Weekdays 11 to 2. News Talk 1040 WHBO.
Coronavirus cases surge even more in the South and West. California Governor Gavin Newsom.
Hospitalizations went up some 3.3% in the last 24 hours. ICU patient volume went up 4.4%.
Newsom says hospitals in Imperial County are overwhelmed, advising local leaders in the Southern County to reinstate stay-at-home orders. In Texas, COVID cases have dropped slightly, but hospitalizations are up. Florida's coronavirus positivity rate has jumped to 13%. Wall Street's major indexes fell sharply on worries about coronavirus and the economy. Facebook says it will flag all newsworthy posts from politicians that break its rules, including those from President Trump, the site's chief, Mark Zuckerberg.
There are no exceptions for politicians in any of the policies that I'm announcing.
Facebook also banning false claims intended to discourage voting, such as stories about federal agents checking legal status at polling places. Chuck Sievertson, ABC News.
So the media is gleeful at the thought that they finally got Trump cornered and they're finally going to have their way of getting their government power back. The Democratic Party is married to the vast, vast majority of the media. And I don't know who's running the show between the two of them, but they work hand in hand. So when you look at CNBC and MSNBC and Bloomberg and AP and ABC and CBS and CNN, New York Times, Washington Post, LA Times, Boston Herald, on and on and on, you'll see a concerted hive mind, NPR, your government paid for radio, a hive mind that's focused deeply on parroting the same mantras over and over again, hungry for power, hungry to remake this country in the image of some kind of corporate communist mixture, which is bizarre. And they're using Trump as their foil, as their scapegoat to try to do that. And so it's easy for us to want to be picking a side here. And there are cases in which you can say one side is right and one side's wrong. We're not going to just be artificial there and say everybody's equally wrong or equally right. That's dumb and not correct. But at the same time, we have to recognize that this is a narrative that's not going to end well for our country. The idea of a party, a political bureaucracy, and a political party, and federal police, and a media all working together, that's creepy. Who in the world, whether you're a Democrat or whatever, socialist, libertarian, conservative, independent, moderate, whatever you are, think about it. I know everybody's so fixated on personalities because that's like you have shiny keys. You just dangle the keys and all the attention goes over there on cue. So you get so obsessed with personalities as if politicians like Trump really run the show. They obviously don't. The man said to pull out of the troops out of Afghanistan and other countries multiple times, and he gets stonewalled by the Pentagon. He gets railroaded by 3 years of a bogus or racist Russia investigation that's xenophobic and bigoted. And the media just lied and lied through their teeth. They lie whenever there's an attempt to divide people. And for what end? They hate the nuclear family. They hate freedom. They hate free markets. They hate private property. They hate localism. They hate economic liberty. They hate downsizing our government. They hate independence. They don't like alternative thinking. They don't like independent thinking. They don't like Galileos. They want to worship the state, and they want you to bend the knee and worship the state. They want the state to take care of you from cradle to grave on every aspect, and they want it fully tied in, as they do every day, from the media, the corporations, the banks, all regurgitating the same one-party creepy mantra. It's like a proto-North Korea, the way they love, the way they think. They don't want diversity of thought. They delete people for making memes. What does that tell you? They delete a guy, Carpe Donktum, or whatever the guy's screen name is, who was making memes, satirical videos, comedy. Internet comedy is a threat to the to the hive mind that Twitter has submitted their minds to. Corporate socialism, corporate communism, whatever brand you want it, that's what they are. They want communistic crumbs for the masses and obscene corporate profits for themselves. And the way they do that is this mantra that they've developed that they have saturating almost every level of our culture. And they do not like dissent. I mean, they delete people who are even liberal or leftist from conversation. They smear Joe Rogan endorsed Bernie Sanders, and he's not good enough for their hive mind bigotry. Because what? He talks to people who are not in their hive mind? How creepy is this? Anybody with a sane mind just has to look at this and say, how in the world are more people not pushing back and saying, I'd like to see, I don't really care about polls, but I mean, to me, it's got to be a large percentage of this country sees right through this. The hive mind, who cares about the Trump-Biden thing? Look at the bigger picture here. The hive mind, politically correct groupthink that is so baked in like a religion. And meanwhile, it always obfuscates from the people's justice. No wars stop. I mean, they tried everything they could to create a war in Syria. But because Barack Obama was politically correct in his speech, because he was a symbol for a politically correct hive mind groupthink mentality that dominates our culture and dominates much of the West, they did everything they could to sell that war in Syria for President Obama. And they did everything they could to sell that war in Libya. These are the same folks that want to preen and posture as if they care about minorities when they were selling you on allowing a lawless administration to destroy Libya with millions of people of various colors, in Syria with millions of people of various colors, in Yemen with millions of people of various colors. And those shameless, bigoted media outlets that still want to lecture people about fake hoaxes like this NASCAR thing were the ones who were beating the drums every day. Bomb them, bomb them, bomb them. Like creepy. It's so creepy to me. I can't believe. I don't think I'm alone here. I think there is a vast majority of folks that if they do pay attention and see this, they would have come to the same conclusion. The question is, are people paying attention? Are they using their discernment when they do pay attention so as to not be swept up in the false dialectic, the binary of, okay, team red or team blue, that's all you got to do. Just pick a team and stop thinking. That's not how it works. It's deeper than that. As you know, much of Team Red has been shilling for wars and bailouts and subsidies. How many times do you hear them say, oh, we've bailed out our farmers today? Even President Trump always touting, oh, we've taken care of our farmers. What does that mean? That means they've taken your money and they've handed it out like massive, big corporate welfare to soy and grain and sugar, all foods that are not good for human consumption. So they take your money, hand it off to billionaire farm corporations, and they call it little farmers. The little farmers don't get much of anything. But it doesn't matter whether you're little or big. You shouldn't be dependent on welfare for decades to keep your business if you live in a free market. But the Republicans, they'll quote Bastiat, they'll quote von Mises and Hayek. Oh, we are against socialism. Then they just, oh guys, look, we just helped our farmers. They always say we support our farmers. And that support our farmers is socialism, but they don't care because they don't have any principles on Team Red. So voting for Team Red does nothing but get your liberty dead, okay? It doesn't do anything. What have they done? Do they ever cut one subsidy, just $1? Can they cut $1 from a soy farm? Big bailout for soy and corn and sugar. This stuff is the stuff that gives people their weakened immune system that makes coronavirus a deadly thing. Now, the Democrats do this stuff too, but that's their brand. Their brand is, we worship government. Come worship it with us. Surrender your life. Surrender your mind. Surrender. Just post the same memes we do. We share the same mantras. Do the same empty virtue signaling. Do the same mantras as us. Worship government. Give them power of life and death over your energy, everything. Your health care, your health choices, your nutrition, foreign policy, everything. Give everything over to centralized government bureaucracies, and we'll dole out billions for our corporate friends, and we'll give you communist crumbs. That's the Democratic brand. They're pretty transparent about that. They're still lying about a lot of things they do, but people kind of know. If you ask, what is a Democrat? What's the Democrat brand? What's the leftist brand that the media pushes? They won't say it this way, but if you ask them, is it for government involvement in our lives? They'll say yes. Most people know that. But then you have this false, fake alternative party that calls itself a defender of a republic, and I don't think they could find a republic if their life depended on it. What they push for is a socialist, corporatist empire. There's no spending restraint. So you got one party that kind of sells you, they promise socialism, but they still end up expanding government. They got another party that promises liberty and free markets, and they do nothing to provide any free markets. They nibble a couple regulations, clip a few little tiny limbs off, and they keep losing over and over and over again culturally because they refuse to actually have a spine and actually have principles. We know in the real world that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. In fact, probably every one of those people in the Republican Party will quote that if they go on an interview. And then they'll say, we support our farmers with big soy and big corn handouts. And we're for free markets. Power corrupts, power corrupts. What does that mean? It means nothing. They're just saying a saying. Like a pro wrestling character says, I am the bone crusher. I will crush the bone. And they say, oh, yeah, that's the scary guy. Yeah, oh, my goodness. But it means nothing. I am the dark undertaker, and then they go home and put on their baseball cap. And so that's what Republicans do. I am liberty. I am liberty man. I will bring liberty, and quote, Thomas Paine, especially when we lose the White House. I will get lots of money from poor, hurting, suffering families desperate for some liberty, and then I'll just do exactly what Democrats do, but just keep signaling that I've got your back. How creepy, how pathetic. Those guys have no place for being taken seriously. There's a few, there's a real small handful in elected office, someone like Thomas Massey from Kentucky, who actually tries to do his job description, which is you're supposed to swear to uphold the Constitution. So he looks at the Constitution, and if it says you can do it as a congressman, then he will do it. If it says you can't, he won't do it. And for standing on principle, he gets singled out by the president. And when he forced Congress to come back and put their names to a vote for that massive, massive bailout of big corporations with the coronavirus. And when he tries to hold that accountable, he gets told that he's a terrible grandstander. Well, luckily, he won his primary, so he's one example, right? But it's obvious, if you look around, when you got Thomas Massey, and that's it, in the House, you're not going to get 400 Thomas Masseys in Congress. It's not going to happen. I wish it would, but it's not going to happen. That's not being a downer. I'm very optimistic because I know where real power lies. It lies outside of the halls of power. It lies outside of monopolistic, out-of-control, centralized government. But I'm honest about the prospects of political solutions. They're not going to work. You get one Thomas Massey and he gets pulverized by his own party president, Donald Trump, when he wanted people to just put your name on this massive multi-trillion dollar handout to big corporations. And for that, he gets punished. You think you can get 400 Masseys or 300 Massey types? No way. 250? No way. Not the way the system is now. Not the way our culture's been now. We have a Republican Party that mostly sends their kids off to public school, and public school is written with textbooks that teach socialism, that teach worship of state power, worship of state control. So you're not going to get principled people who want to get rid of power if you create that culture generationally going on. It's not going to produce a crop of hearts and minds afire for liberty and restraint and self-reliance. So we're going to have to look for another solution to get our liberty. We'll continue to unpack what that is when we continue live on A Neighbor's Choice.
A lawsuit is not something that anyone looks forward to. It can be devastating. There is a law firm in Tampa Bay that will keep you informed throughout the entire process. That law firm is Catania & Catania. Personal injury law is defended with full disclosure. There is no guessing game. If it's an auto accident, medical malpractice, nursing home negligence, unsafe working conditions, or motorcycle accidents, the law firm of Catania & Catania will handle the process worry-free from start to finish. Many victims do not even realize that they can claim compensation for their loss until they talk to Catania & Catania. They only represent private individuals and treat every case as if it's going to trial. Putting families first is more than just a slogan. It's their way of practicing law. It's a commitment to you. Remember, they don't get paid if you don't get paid. So go to CataniaCatania.com, award-winning over 28 years and family first. Catania & Catania, personal injury, auto accident, and motorcycle accident attorneys.
And now, a message from Vistaprint. This is a cow. The cow that made the milk that was made into the cheese that made Tober Dairy Farm into the talk of the craft fair. But cheese lasts so long. The impression a small business like Tober Dairy Farm makes can last much longer, with the right business card to back it up. And now Vistaprint is introducing free shipping on all business cards in any quantity. That's right, free shipping on any card, any style, any quantity. Plug your information and logo into hundreds of fresh designs tailored to your type of company, or upload your own original layout. Pick from paper stocks like matte, glossy, or uncoated. You can even upgrade to a unique touch like rounded corners. The choice is yours. The time is now. I said now, not cow, Farmer Tober. For a limited time only, get free shipping on all business cards in any quantity at Vistaprint.com with promo code 2828. That's promo code 2828 at Vistaprint.com. Vistaprint. Own the now.
Man, how can you afford gas for that big SUV? I pay less for gas than everyone else. I got the free Get Upside Gas app and get up to 25 cents a gallon cash back every time I buy gas. Hold on. You're getting up to 25 cents off a gallon with the free Get Upside Gas app while I'm paying full price? You know it. People earned over $1 million last year. You just got to take a picture of your gas receipt and bam, up to 25 cents a gallon cash back. You don't have to tell me twice. I'm downloading the free Get Upside Gas app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code TRUCK for a 20-cent a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 45 cents a gallon on your next tank. Just download the free Get Upside app at the App Store or Google Play and use promo code TRUCK. Save money on gas on every fill-up. Download the free Get Upside app and use promo code TRUCK. That's TRUCK.
So, of course, the media is excited that they think they've got Trump in the corner again. They've got this virus, and they know that politics is the art of the irrational. They know that if they can keep drumming up fear and lockdowns and destruction of the economy with this coronavirus, using a bludgeon to solve something that only, the best form of solving is herd immunity by the best epidemiologists. You're not allowed to say that. It gets deleted off of YouTube. If you make a meme, it gets deleted off of Twitter. That's why I don't become, digital only. I have a presence on FM and AM and other medium because I'm not going to put my mouthpiece beholden on these ridiculous bigots that have archaic ideas that coercion and control is the solution. They don't know anything. These guys are fools. They don't know anything about nutrition. They actually denigrate saturated fat and meats. They know nothing about nutrition. They're fools, and they like to take the posture of the high ground and bully people who don't go along with their foolishness. The problem is they don't even have a legitimate, pushback from culture because the right is so obsessed with war and worshiping, these fake empty slogans about law and order. You can have law and order, but law and order doesn't come from having a sycophantic worship of government power like so much in the right have done. So they don't have a real robust pushback of the culture that's forward-thinking and actually could paint a story that works, which is to defend victims of big government and statism, worship of state power, and also to have a positive solution for the problems that government promises to solve and can never solve. They can't solve them because they're a monopoly. Monopolies don't know what they don't know. They don't know that their theory of cancer that they've been funding in a monopolistic way from government, that is the genetic theory of cancer, isn't the right way to look, that you need to look at the metabolic theory and paradigm of cancer, and that if you would find the researchers out in the wilderness who are doing cancer treatment that are non-toxic using the metabolic or mitochondrial-based paradigm of cancer treatment, that they would have vast, massive breakthroughs that would liberate people from a terrible disease and liberate people from terrible toxic solutions for that disease that are just antiquated and based on a genetic faulty paradigm. But they don't know what they don't know. They're arrogant. They want power over people. They want control. They're angry, bitter, and envious, the folks that are stoking this kind of government control of everything we do. And they don't have a legitimate pushback from the folks in power in Washington who claim to be conservative or claim to be loving liberty. There's a handful, but it's like tiny 0.1% of Washington probably. So Joe Biden says about Trump, this is not a guy who is acting like he expects to be around on January 21st, 2021 in the White House. And he's acting like he's setting everything on fire before he leaves. He's known when to leave the stage before. I would not be surprised if he left the stage again. So of course that's what they want. That's all the media is saying that. Because all the media cares about is who's in power. Because their whole frame of reality is that the only way to solve anything is to resurrect gods and to lift up God, not resurrect, but to erect false gods of state power to control and rule and to hand billions to their crony friends, of course. That's exactly what they do. Communists, socialists, liberal, leftist, whatever the brand is, it's always a racket for wealthy people. That's why vast majority of billionaires totally, spout the leftist mantra. Communism is a rich kid's indulgence. We know this. But what's the solution, right? Well, what I want to let you know is don't let your state of mind be sold on having its salvation come through elections. Because if you do that, you're thinking just the same way as the media lemmings. Their whole reality is power, power, power. And so if you let your state of mind and your feeling of what you want to do in life be determined by who's got power, if that's your priority, you're always going to be let down. Because state power is crumbling. It's crumbling because there's a personhood revolution started 2,000 years ago that continues to unfold in history by Jesus. And what it does is it allows people to think for themselves and allows people to question the dogmas of government propped up science and knowledge fields. And when it does that, when we're free to think for ourselves and explore things in nature, explore things in the human body, like I mentioned, mitochondrial metabolic theory of cancer, folks out there in the real world, Dr. Michael Assanti, Dr. Thomas Seyfried, and many others that we've had on the program and highlighted have shown that you can cure and solve these problems like cancer and diabetes and heart disease and schizophrenia and things like that without having toxic, extremely expensive patented medicine that costs obscene profit margins. You don't have to do that. That's the free market side saying that. Do you get it? The media will tell you they hate markets, but it's funny. They always push a patented medicine. They never push natural things. They never push things that are off patent, generic drugs like we've highlighted on this program. They've always got to push their greedy crony friends and their patent drugs that cost a lot of money and require insurance, which people can't afford, or government health care, which we all can't afford because it's a scam. But there are real solutions out there that if we bring them into the market, if we bring them into our society, if we start thinking like the Wright brothers who imagined that you could fly, if we start thinking like Edison and Tesla who said, let's have power for every man and woman, if we start thinking like Henry Ford who made a car for everybody that they could all afford, if you start thinking that way in creating wealth and creating an expansion of the pie, then the public will change its cultural appetite for surrendering to politics and blame games and government takeover of our lives. You see how it works? It's a real simple message. If you create transformative inventions, energy too cheap to meter, non-toxic, cheap solutions for cancer and diabetes and heart disease, if you alleviate human suffering and the pressure points that push us all into a cauldron of scapegoating, then the necessary conditions for liberty can flourish once again. So you have to break through the stagnation. And it starts with your mind. If you believe that science is settled on everything, then you'll limit your view about what you can actually do. But if you have a healthy skepticism, knowing that what they call settled science in many fields is actually just faith and people that's propped up by groupthink and government handouts, and it's a paper-thin tiger. You touch it and boom, not so strong after all. And once you do that, then you can look around the world and you can see that folks are doing things like low-energy nuclear fusion. They're doing things like solutions for cancer, and they don't need government handouts. In fact, when they come to market, it will allow people to move away from this tyrannical way of thinking of the world. See how it works? aneighborschoice.com is our website. Email me, David@aneighborschoice.com. Godspeed.